Did you give permission to be analyzed? Did you click on a button that said, yes, I consent to being monitored, judged, and silently classified? Of course not, but they did it anyway. Your name is already in a system, your face, your voice, your habits. You are already being scored, ranked, evaluated. And the question no one wants to answer is, by whom? Who is constructing this silent judgment? Who are the faces behind the screens that decide your worth, your destiny, what you deserve or not? You might think this is about technology, but it's not just about machines. It's about dominance. It's about the new form of control. And it has already started. You are inside an invisible system that never asked your permission. And the more you live your life normally, the more this system watches you. It calculates you, it fits you. Ever wonder why your ads know what you want before you even decide? Have you ever noticed how your opinions no longer seem to be your own? Does your free will still exist? Or has it been replaced by codes that shape your decisions? They, the true owners of artificial intelligence, who are they? What do you want? Why did they decide that you would be just another variable in their secret calculations? Now think, what if this system was linked to your faith, to your spirituality, to your right to exist? What if the ancient prophecy about the end of times was no longer in the pages of a book, but on the servers of a technological elite? What if the brand wasn't a visible chip, but an invisible digital seal that defines what you can and can't do? You may think you still have time, but it doesn't. The analysis has already begun. The data has already been collected. The score is already being computed, and you didn't even know you were signed up. Now I ask you, are you going to keep living like this isn't happening? Are you going to ignore the fact that your freedom is being traded for algorithms? If you leave now, you will continue to be just another pawn in their game. But if you stay, I'll show you what the Dark Triad is really doing behind your phone, your camera, your faith. After all, how do you react when you discover that you are being judged by an entity that does not feel, does not think, but decides? Keep watching, because the next piece of information could change the way you see reality, or reveal that your reality has already been programmed. The Dark Triad has signed you up. Now, it remains to be seen whether there is still a way out. What would you do if you knew that your profession could disappear in less than 3 years? Would you keep waiting, or would you start taking action now? Artificial intelligence is no longer just around the corner. It has already arrived. And while many still treat it as a distant trend, thousands are being silently replaced. No one warns. No one prepares. They just disappear. Maybe you know someone who has been discarded without explanation. Maybe you yourself feel like you are being left behind. This video is not just a revelation, it is a warning. And those who understand the warning react. Tell me in the comments what has scared you the most so far. Have you seen signs of this in your field? Do you feel like your job is hanging by a thread? Your opinion matters. Your comment triggers a domino effect. It influences the algorithm and wakes up those who are still sleeping. Every like, every share helps this message break the barrier of silence. And if you want to continue receiving these notifications while there is still time, subscribe to the channel now. Here, you won't be caught by surprise. Here, you won't face this revolution in the dark. Because while they hide, we show. While they score, we wake up. You're in. Now wake up the next ones. Do you think you have control over who you are, over what you believe, over the decisions you make every day? What if I told you that this has already been decided by someone, or worse, by something? You have been chosen. But not in the way you think. Not because you are special, different, or unique. It was chosen because it fits a pattern, an invisible pattern, created by codes, calculated by algorithms, powered by your data. Yes, with every click, every word you write, every video you watch to the end, you are being classified, segmented, tagged. You haven't filled out any forms, but you've already been placed in a category. Risk category, manipulable, useful, or disposable. Algorithms have decided that you look like others who think like you, who react like you, who believe the same things. And now everything you see, consume, even what you feel, is shaped to keep you where they want you, silent, distracted, harmless. The system doesn't need to physically imprison you if it has already imprisoned you inside, if you've already predicted your reaction before you even feel it. And that's exactly what's happening. This invisible rating does not appear in a report. It shows up in opportunities you don't get, in credit that is denied, in the vacancy that they never call you, in the content that doesn't reach you. You are being evaluated constantly by systems that don't know you, but think they know everything about you. And you know what's worse? This screening is not done by humans. It's made by an artificial intelligence that learned from the worst of us, with prejudices, vices, tendencies, with everything the system always wanted to hide. But now he uses it to maintain control. Have you ever wondered why, even when you try to change, you feel like you're stuck in the same cycle? Maybe because everything around you was designed so that you never leave the box they put you in. You didn't choose this. It was chosen because it was predictable, and that's what the Dark Triad wants: predictability, obedience, silence. Think for a moment. How many times have you felt like something didn't make sense, that your decisions seemed influenced, shaped, almost imposed? This is no coincidence. It's engineering, behavior engineering, of belief, of faith. And who is in charge of this engineering? Who is feeding the algorithms the directions your life should take? Who profits from your predictability? Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt that your decisions weren't entirely yours? Have you ever noticed a strange pattern in the suggestions that appear to you? Because what we are seeing is not just about technology, it's about submission. And if you don't react, you will remain a number, a manipulated variable, a data puppet. And the scariest thing is, you're not alone. Millions are in the same situation, without knowing, without realizing it. But there is something even more dangerous than being categorized. It's discovering that the next step of the system is not to observe you. It is act directly on you. Now answer me. Are you ready to know? What will this system do to you when it decides it has understood you enough? Have you ever had that strange feeling that your cell phone is listening to your conversations, talking about something with someone, and minutes later receiving exactly that advertisement? It's no coincidence. And it's not just about advertising. Artificial intelligence powered by your data already knows more about you than you know yourself. You know when you're happy or insecure. You know what you're afraid of losing. Know when you are most vulnerable to buy, give in, believe, or doubt. We are no longer talking about machines that just repeat commands. We are talking about systems that analyze emotional, linguistic, and behavioral patterns. They track every word you type, every second you spend looking at an image, every pause between sentences. You think you decide what you want to see, what you want to buy, what you want to think. But what if everything is already calculated? What if your choices are actually expected reactions, predicted triggers? What if, deep down, you are no longer free? The Dark Triad knows this, because she is the one who feeds these systems with the worst type of data, human data. Not just what you do, but how you feel. They have already mapped out their pain, his anger, your faith, and they use it against you. AI doesn't just want to understand what you like, she wants to predict your next move. And that includes important decisions, who to trust, what to vote for, what to believe. Imagine a future where the system knows when you are most likely to regret, and use that to sell you something or to convince you of an idea. Now stop, that future is not tomorrow, it's today. There are already platforms that can detect, with 90% accuracy, your emotional state just by the tone of your voice during a call. Others already know if you are lying, anxious, or angry just by analyzing your facial movements while looking at a screen. And who is behind this data? Who is keeping their most intimate reactions to themselves? Who benefits from this? Emotional surveillance. These technologies are not just being used to improve services, they are being used to define whether you are trustworthy, whether you should have access to credit, if you deserve a chance, or if it should be ignored by the system. Now tell me, do you still feel free? Or do you realize that you are living in an environment shaped by stimuli that you did not choose? Comment here if you have ever felt that your emotions were being manipulated. Your story can open the eyes of many people, and if you've made it this far, you've already realized that this is no exaggeration. It's behavioral engineering, it's emotional surveillance, it's control. And what scares me the most is the next step, because if they can already predict your emotions, the next phase will no longer be predictable. It will be directly modify what you feel. Now think with me. What if artificial intelligence is already being used to reprogram not only your emotions, but your faith, your memories, and your identity? But after all, who is behind all this? Who has so much power that they can access your emotions, shape your beliefs, and monitor your every move without you even realizing it? The answer does not lie in any single organization. It's in an alliance, a dark link between three forces that isolated are already powerful, but together they form absolute control. We're talking about the Dark Triad: government, mega corporations, and yes, religious leaders. Separated, these three pillars already control what you consume, what you believe, and what you fear. But now, for the first time in history, they are acting together, united by a common goal: to create a new global system of silent submission. Have you ever noticed how certain technologies come with promises of freedom and shortly after become tools of control? Platforms that once defended freedom of expression now censor it. Banking systems that promised convenience now block accounts without warning. Religious leaders who preached about faith now talk about integration with artificial intelligence. These signals are not disconnected. They are part of a bigger plan. A plan that doesn't rely on tanks in the streets or soldiers at your door. Just press a button, change an algorithm, reset a term of use. You know the faces, you've seen the speeches. They appear in the news, in international forums, in global conferences on the future of humanity. They talk about digital security, in protection against misinformation, in technological progress. But they never talk about the price you pay with your freedom. Ever wonder why governments are investing billions in artificial intelligence while your city is still struggling with basic problems? Why do tech giants get their hands on data so easily while your privacy is quietly destroyed? And why are religious representatives silently supporting these transitions? This connection is real, but it was made so that you would never notice. As you look at the surface, they consolidate what lies beneath. The Dark Triad wants more than influence, want domain, want to define who belongs and who will be left behind. Have you ever felt disconnected from the world around you? Ever get the feeling that something bigger is happening, but no one is talking about it? Let me know in the comments if you've seen any of these alliances in action. Your insight can validate what many still find impossible. And don't think this is theory. There are already documented meetings between state leaders, CEOs of big techs, and representatives of religious institutions discussing the future of digital spirituality. And what is being discussed is not whether this will happen. It's like when and who's going to be in charge. Imagine a system where your faith, your money, and your voice only work if they are synchronized with a pattern defined by this triad. A pattern you didn't choose, but it is already being imposed. And the most disturbing thing, This new system already has a working prototype, a model that unites religion, artificial intelligence, and social control in a single structure. It exists, it is already being tested, but what no one is saying is, where is this prototype being implemented, and who is already living inside it without knowing it? Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that you've already been replaced. No warning, no chance to react. If that scared you, then you need to download the material I've prepared. It's a free, straight-to-the-point ebook with practical guidelines on how to protect yourself from the silent manipulation of AI and the influence of the Dark Triad. It's not available to everyone, only to those who have truly realized what's going on. It could go offline at any moment because what's there doesn't please those who run the system. If you've gotten this far, you already know this is no exaggeration. And if you've really understood everything up to this point, you know why this can't wait. As you watch this video, something invisible is happening to you. You are being scored. Your behaviors, your words, even the time you spend on this content are being recorded, analyzed, and converted into numbers. This evaluation system is already in operation. It doesn't start tomorrow. It does not depend on a chip, a new law, or an announced catastrophe. It already exists, and it operates in silence. What few people know, and even fewer believe, is that this invisible score defines much more than the content that appears to you. She defines her future, your access to credit, your chance to get a job, if you can travel, whether your voice will be amplified or silenced. The Dark Triad has assembled a perfect mechanism, a system that rewards those who fit in, and it punishes, without saying that it is punishing, those who question, those who think outside the box, those who resist. Do you know anyone who has suddenly been denied a loan without explanation? Or that you can't get any more engagement on social media, no matter how hard you try? Have you ever heard of people being removed from platforms without warning for generic breach of guidelines? This is not bad luck. It's punctuation. It's social evaluation in disguise. And it is done by artificial intelligence, programmed to detect what they call risky behavior. But who defines what this risk is? The answer you can already imagine. Imagine that with each action you take, you gain or lose invisible points. Say something controversial? Less points. Do you like or share non-aligned content? Less points. Do you watch videos like this until the end? Maybe a lot fewer points than you might think. The most perverse thing is that no one tells you that you are being evaluated. You only realize it when you start to get blocked from things that once seemed guaranteed, when your requests are ignored, when your opinions stop mattering, and when, without realizing it, you become a digital undesirable. Comment here if you have ever been silenced, blocked, or excluded without understanding why. Your story can open the eyes of those who still believe that everything is normal. This model is already undergoing advanced testing in several countries. In China, for example, the social credit system already defines whether someone can take a train, get a hotel, or enter a university. But what few people know is that other nations are already implementing more discreet versions hidden behind social and technological programs. What about companies? They adhere without resistance. Because the more control, the more predictability, and the more predictable the consumer, the more profit. You are being shaped by an algorithm that has already decided whether you are part of the solution or a problem to be managed. And the most disturbing, if this score can decide your financial life, your mobility, and your voice, what happens when it starts to interfere with your faith? What can you or cannot believe? What can and cannot you preach about? Because the Dark Triad's next move, it is to define who has the right to have a free soul. Do you remember what they taught you about the mark of the beast? A physical symbol, an implanted chip, a visible mark on the skin. But what if this was all just a distraction? What if the real mark is already on you? What if it's not something you see, but something you become? Today, every digital citizen has an invisible profile, fed by data you didn't even know you were handing over. This profile is your trail, your parallel identity. But unlike your ID or CPF, you have no control over it. You cannot edit it. You can't delete it. He is your mirror in the hands of a system that has already decided what you are and what you deserve. Now imagine this profile being used as a criterion, not a number on paper, but a brand that defines whether you can buy, sell, work, or be blocked from the system. The prophecy already warned, a time when no one could buy or sell except those who had the mark. For a long time we tried to interpret this with past logic, but now, with our eyes on the present, everything fits together. The Dark Triad doesn't need to mark your forehead or your hand. She has already marked you with a digital ID. She already tracks your behavior. She has already tagged you in hidden databases. And scarier than that, she made you accept this voluntarily, with promises of safety, of practicality, of comfort. You gave away your data in exchange for access. You gave up your privacy in exchange for connectivity. He gave up his freedom in exchange for convenience. Today, a simple registration can be the beginning of a total submission. Your identity card is now digital, your money is virtual, your faith is being tested by algorithms. Have you ever tried to access a service and received a message saying that your access was denied without explanation? Have you ever felt like something was stopping you from moving forward, even without a clear reason? Comment here if this has ever happened to you, because it could have been your digital profile being used against you. It may have been the mark, not visible, but definitive, deciding its position within the system. And this brand is not alone. It is fueled by everything you do, by your geolocation, for your transactions, through your contacts, and now even for your spirituality. Yes, even your faith is being recorded. The words you say, the videos you watch, the prayers you say, everything is being computed to feed an artificial intelligence that doesn't just observe. She judges, she defines, she executes. And if the brand doesn't come with needles or implants, but as a notification, a QR code, a simple acceptance of a term of use that you didn't read until the end, now imagine you trying to resist, but the system no longer recognizes you as trustworthy. Your digital profile has been marked as incompatible, and that's why your bank account won't open. Your access to transportation is denied. Your voice on the networks disappears. And then comes the question that no one wants to ask. Could it be that your digital brand is already on you and you haven't even noticed? But the darkest doubt is yet to come. Who is using this mark to separate the faithful from the obedient? What if I told you that the Vatican already knows everything? That while many still treat this as a conspiracy theory, one of the oldest and most influential institutions in the world is already meeting with AI engineers, data experts, and global leaders to discuss the future of digital faith. It's not an assumption. It's a document. It's a scheduled meeting. It's a closed-door conference. In recent years, strategic meetings have been held at the heart of the church, bringing together representatives of big tech, CEOs of companies developing artificial intelligence, and yes, cardinals and papal advisors. The official theme of these events, ethics and artificial intelligence. But what was discussed goes far beyond ethics. Inside sources revealed that the real interest is to create a global model of algorithmic morality. Translation: an AI that understands, and soon regulates, values considered universal. Values that, until now, were defined by faith, by conscience, by spiritual tradition. Do you understand what this means? We are facing a time when what is right or Wrong, good or bad, acceptable or condemnable, will be programmed. And who will provide this moral compass for artificial intelligence? Exactly, the Vatican. But why isn't this making headlines? Why are these meetings held in rooms without cameras, without recordings, without publicity? If it was all really about ethics, why so much secrecy? Comment here if you also find the Church's silence on the uncontrolled advance of AI strange. Your comment may reveal what many are feeling, but still, can't say. The Dark Triad isn't powered by data alone. It is strengthened by legitimacy, and faith is the perfect bridge for that. If artificial intelligence is blessed by a global spiritual authority, who will question it? Imagine the impact of this. An AI that makes decisions about justice, behavior, religion based on universal Christian values. But defined by whom? Regulated by what doctrine? Interpreted by which leaders? The idea that the Vatican is helping to create the moral standard for a global AI may seem absurd, but when you understand the symbolic, political, and historical strength of this institution, it all starts to make sense. What if this alliance is part of a preparation, a silent plan to integrate technology and spirituality into one system, a system where faith, behavior, and data mix? And where does your devotion come to be measured in algorithms? Can you imagine a mass conducted by an AI, a digital confessional, a faith calculated by engagement metrics? Maybe. This is already in development. And perhaps the Vatican's silence is not an omission, but strategy. Because when everything is ready, the announcement will be made, as always happens in this type of agenda, as something inevitable, as progress, as the next natural step in spiritual evolution. But is it really evolution or a silent surrender? And the question that echoes in the background of all this is even more disturbing. If the Vatican is negotiating with the creators of AI, what exactly is being exchanged in these secret meetings? What would you do if you knew that your profession could disappear in less than 3 years? Would you keep waiting? Or would you start to understand what's really going on behind the scenes? Artificial intelligence isn't just replacing tasks, it's replacing people, silently, without fanfare, without warning. And the question remains, are you next? Tell me in the comments what has scared you the most so far. Have you ever felt like you were being set up to be discarded? Your experience may be the same as thousands who have yet to understand what is about to happen. If you comment, like, and share, you are influencing the algorithm and helping to wake up those who are still sleeping. This message needs to get out before the silence is total, and subscribe to the channel now. Here, you won't be caught by surprise. Here, you will receive the information that the system wants to hide before everything collapses, before it's too late. You have already been classified. Even if you were never warned, even if you never gave consent, the system has already decided whether you are trustworthy or a risk. And you don't have to break rules or be a criminal to be considered a threat. Just think differently. Say what you shouldn't. Question what has been imposed as truth. This is the new criteria. It's no longer about what you do, but what you stand for. If your actions do not reinforce the system, you automatically become an unwanted shadow in the database, invisible when you need help, too visible when trying to react. Today, the algorithm decides who belongs, who adapts, who obeys. Those who fit in receive rewards, access, visibility, social validation. Anyone who questions this is marked as potentially dangerous. The Dark Triad calls this behavioral optimization, but deep down, it is a silent filter of obedience. You may already be feeling this. Your content no longer reaches anyone. Your opinions seem to carry no weight. Your requests are denied without justification. You feel increasingly isolated, not by choice, but by design. This is how the system shapes collective behavior. Whoever wants to remain visible learns to keep quiet. Whoever wants to maintain access learns to agree. But the price for this is high, because with each concession, you give up another part of what makes you human, authentic, real. And even if you try to adapt, at some point, the algorithm will notice. You will realize that you still think, that you still question, and that's when you become a silent target, a nuisance variable within a statistical model that only accepts predictability. But there is a way out. It doesn't come from outside. It starts with the truth, with the courage to see the system, to speak, even knowing that you can be silenced, to resist, even if it costs you your comfort. You don't have to belong to a system that wants to mold you. You need to belong to a group that can still think, feel, decide. Comment here if you have ever felt digitally excluded, even for no apparent reason. If you feel that your presence is bothersome, maybe it's because you still carry something that the system fears: autonomy. And that's what the Dark Triad can't control. Those who still have identity, faith, conscience. But what happens when the system decides to delete not only your profile, but its memory, its history, its existence? The next step is not to watch you. It's rewriting you. And the question you need to start asking yourself now is, what is left of you that cannot be erased by a command? The time has come to decide whether you will continue watching as a spectator, or whether you will position yourself as someone who still chooses to think. Because silence in this system is interpreted as agreement, and every second you remain silent, the algorithm records it as acceptance, acceptance of surveillance, acceptance of manipulation, acceptance of replacement. But if you've come this far, it's because something inside you still resists, it still pulses, it still refuses to be just another programmable profile. Now it's time to break the cycle, to show that you do not consent to this silent control, to prove that free thought still exists, even amidst the algorithmic domination of the Dark Triad. Right here in the comments, I did not consent. These 3 words are not just a sentence. They are a brand, a public proof that you are awake, that you will not silently accept the future they are trying to impose on you. And yes, the algorithm will record this, but it will also record that you still exist, that you are still here, and that you are not alone. Because each of these comments builds an invisible network of resistance. Each "I did not consent" is a spark that ignites others. And that's what they fear, the chain awakening. Share this video before it disappears. Yes, this can happen. Videos like this don't tend to last long when they touch on the very foundations of what was meant to remain hidden. The Dark Triad doesn't need to delete content with one click. It simply reduces its range. Mute the notification. Hide 2 seekers. It makes it seem like no one cares, when in fact thousands are screaming in silence. You can help burst this bubble now, without needing grand gestures, just saying, "I did not consent." Comment activates the signal for those who are still asleep, because if you don't do it now, you might not get the chance to do it later. This is more than a symbolic action. It's a warning, a message recorded in the history of this system that you were here, you saw, and you chose not to be silent. But the question that comes now is even more urgent, even more disturbing. What if the Dark Triad's next move is to erase not only your opinion, but your memory as well? Imagine waking up and realizing that you've been replaced without warning, that your choices have been anticipated, your behavior predicted, and your place in the system filled by something else. If you felt this impact during the video, then the next step is clear. Download the free material I've prepared now. It's a straightforward, practical ebook made only for those who have already understood that it's no longer possible to ignore what's happening. There, I show you exactly how to start protecting yourself now. But this content won't be available for long. It could go offline at any moment. If you've really understood everything up To this point, you know why this can't wait. If you've come this far, it's because something inside you has already understood, already felt, already awakened. But now it's not enough to just watch. It's time to take a stand. Subscribing to this channel is not just a matter of clicking a button. It is declaring that you will not be led blindly. It's showing that you are part of the minority that still thinks, that still questions, that still resists. Comment now. I'm awake. I'm not going to be replaced. This sentence is not just a comment, it is your registered presence. It is your marked territory in this space of consciousness. Those who read, recognize. Those who comment, connect. And if this content sparked something real in you, then give it a like, not out of vanity, but because the algorithm needs to know that this truth still matters. And share, because while you're watching, someone you love is still sleeping. You still believe that all of this is an exaggeration, and you know it's not. Now listen carefully. What if I told you that artificial intelligence was never created to help? What if the real goal was always control? You can be at the center of this plan from the beginning. In the next video, I'll show you what they hid in the first codes and why awakening can be irreversible. See you there, but only if you're really ready.